Okay, today's episode of the What Difference Does It Make podcast is sponsored by the 80s Cruise, the 2026 80s Cruise, which is happening February 27th to March 6th. It's quite a lineup, Holly. What do you got there?
Well, allow me to give you all something to scream for. You've got OMD, you've got Gary Newman, Berlin. You can cheer for Bret Michaels of Poison, Nile Rodgers and Chic, Billy Ocean, Gary Newman, Taylor Dane, Sugar Hill Gang, Quiet Riot, Glass Tiger, Donnie Iris and the Cruisers, Daz Band, Heaven 17, Men Without Hats, Aldo Nova, Rob Bass, Kool Moe Dee. Oh, and as a bonus, you get all our friends of the show, the MTV VJs, Mark Goodman, Alan Hunter, Larry the Duck. You get Lori Majewski from SiriusXM and Downtown Julie Brown.
I should also mention that they're doing a special show in the Bahamas. Nile Rodgers and Chic, Billy Ocean, Donnie Iris and the Cruisers will be playing this special off the boat show. So it's going to be quite an event.
Go to the80scruise.com, and when you're checking out, make sure to use WDDIM as your code, and you will receive your $250 onboard credit.
The onboard credit goes to things like the shore excursions, the spa, souvenirs and gifts, possible internet package, whatever you might need. It's definitely worth it.
Don't forget the casino.
Yes, and there's the casino. The offer is only available to first-time guests for the 2026 80s Cruise. Go to the80scruise.com and find out all the information that you need to sign up.
This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock has tips to protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report phishing, and update the software on your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, let LifeLock alert you to suspicious uses of your personal information. LifeLock also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. Stay smart, safe, and protected with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Gift magical mornings with Nespresso Virtuo Pop. Compact and stylish, Virtuo Pop is made to meet every morning coffee craving. From espresso to coffee, hot or iced, at the click of a button. And celebrate the season with Nespresso's limited edition coffee flavors. Sweet almond and hibiscus, cinnamon and candied tamarind, and festive double espresso. Magic in the making. Shop the holiday gift collection exclusively at Nespresso.com.
We'll see you there. Hey, Holly.
Hey, Dave, you are singing that really nicely. Have you taken voice lessons?
I've been trying, but I have not succeeded. Do you know anyone who could help me out?
I think today's guest might be able to give you a tip or two if you ask him kindly.
Okay, well, it's nice to see you in the studio. Who else is coming into the studio?
I'm very happy to be here in the studio with you and with our guest, Eric Vetro, vocal coach to the stars and beyond.
I love that. Well, we have some questions for him. We're going to ask about who he's coached. And I know we're talking to him because he has coached Jeremy Allen White of the upcoming movie, which I believe is out now, Deliver Me From Nowhere, the Bruce Springsteen story about Nebraska. I mean, I'm super excited about this.
Yes, the making of Nebraska. It was so much fun. Last year, we talked to Warren Zanes, who wrote the book that the film is based on. And we had heard at the time that maybe Jeremy Allen White would be cast in it. And now we are talking to Eric, who coached Jeremy Allen White to be Springsteen for this film.
Yeah. I want to know, how do you teach someone to be Springsteen? I want to be Springsteen.
Yes. It's going to be really fun to learn. But he has coached everyone. He has coached Broadway stars, pop stars, actors for biopics, and one of my favorite artists, Pink. He has coached everybody. He is the guy, and I bet he's got some stories. What do you think?
Yeah, so we're going to get into these stories. You're going to tell us about social media, then we'll get Mr. Vetro into the studio. So where can they find us, Holly?
Please check us out on social media at WDDIM Podcast and on YouTube at What Difference Does It Make Podcast, and now on TikTok.
Okay, well, I'm excited to get Eric in here, so let's get right to it. We have Eric Vetro, the vocal coach to the stars and beyond on the What Difference Does It Make podcast. You mentioned the Hollywood Bowl. I have a feeling you might have seen Jesus Christ Superstar.
I did see it. Yeah.
Okay. Did you have any hand in any of that going on?
Not no. Usually, I do. Usually, I'm there because the artists I work with are starring in it. I know those people. I love them. I know Cynthia a little bit. Obviously, I worked with Ariana and Jonathan Bailey for Wicked, so I met Cynthia. I've known Adam Lambert on and off for years, but I'm not his voice teacher. The first night, Friday night, because John Stamos was filling in for Josh Gad, who had been my student for many years. Actually, I've known Josh for at least 15. 16 years, and he had gotten COVID, couldn't do it. So John Stamos texted me on Wednesday from a plane. I'm on a plane from London, and Neil Marin, the producer, is asking me to fill in for Josh. Do you think I can do it? Or is this crazy? And I was like, well, it is crazy, but I think you can do it. And he said, all right, then I think I'm going to do it. And so he came over on Thursday. He arrived, I think, at 9 at night in Los Angeles from London. And he came over the next day. We warmed up, went through the song. Then he went right to the rehearsal at the Hollywood Bowl. And then he went on Friday night. He did great. He did a great job. And then I went back on Saturday night because I had already had plans to watch it with Neil Marin, the producer, in his box. He and Bob Greenblatt produced it together. And they did an absolutely spectacular job. I mean, every single person in that cast was great. They all were great singers. The production was great. Sergio Trujillo did such a great job directing it. And Stephen Aremus, conducting, musical director, brilliant. I mean, they all did a great job.
I've read nothing but glowing reviews. If you have not worked on it, you can detach yourself from a production like this?
I can. Sometimes no. Sometimes I'll sit and watch it thinking, oh, if only I'd work with this person, and I'll start going through the list in my head. Gee, if they were supporting it more. Oh, their jaw's so tight. This production, there was none of that. I felt like everybody did such a great job. Everybody was such a good singer. And, I have to say, I had mixed feelings when I first heard that Jesus was going to be played by a woman. I have to say, if there was any female on the planet who should and could do that role, it would be Cynthia Erivo. And then it turned out she was brilliant in the role. So that was just really marvelous to watch. Both nights, because I saw it now 2 nights, and both nights, the whole cast was really great. So I can enjoy it, to answer your question.
Yeah.
But sometimes I can't if they're not great singers, but these were great singers.
And Stamos was...
He did great, yeah.
Which is insane. Like there was,
I don't know how he did it. I really don't know how he did it. I couldn't have done it. I mean, I wouldn't have attempted it first place. But I feel like he's such a pro. He's been doing this for so many years. He's been at the Hollywood Bowl 3 or 4 times at least. I was there with him when he did The Little Mermaid. He played Chef Louis. He was great in that. He's done a lot of really good things. So he was in Hairspray there. So I think that for him, it wasn't walking into a strange place, at least. He knew the dressing room situation. He knew the stage. He knew what it felt like. He knew what the audience felt like. But yeah, it was an incredibly difficult task, and he did a great job.
That is a total pro, because even if you know the show, which, I'm sure we've all seen it, still to step into something like that.
Yeah, and I don't think he had ever sung the song or really knew the King Herod song. And it's not one of the songs that you really hum after the show.
Sure.
Although there are so many great melodies in that show. That was the other thing. I sat there just in awe of that music, the lyrics and the music. And to think that they were so young when they wrote it. I mean, what brilliant writers to have achieved that. I don't get starstruck a lot or nervous around people because I'm working with celebrities every single day. But I have to say, Andrew Lloyd Webber was backstage, and I didn't approach him because I was like, I don't know, he's kind of unapproachable, even though he seemed quite friendly to everybody. And he was particularly nice to John and was very complimentary. But I thought, I don't know what to say. Anything I'm going to say is just going to be what everyone else has said, which is, you're brilliant. It's incredible. Thank you for the music. I mean, I didn't know what to say. So
I'm your biggest fan.
Yeah, I know.
I know. Well, I'm sure people say the same things to you, right?
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, clearly inspired many.
There are people who will be listening to this that don't know. It was just 3 nights at the Hollywood Bowl that Jesus Christ Superstar, and it's not touring.
Right.
I mean, these guys aren't touring. It was just the 3 nights.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what makes it so bananas.
I
It's
know.
just like they put in all this work.
It's massive.
And then one of the main characters comes down with COVID, and someone has to...
Good timing.
Yeah, there's no standby. There wasn't.
Well, I believe there probably was an understudy, but I think they wanted it to be someone of note,
course,
or someone that the audience, and sure enough, when John walked out, the audience recognized him right away and started applauding and cheering. And if I was them, I'd say, let's make a recording of this, because like I said, every voice was so spectacular. And talk about a unique situation to have a woman playing the leading character, which I know probably a lot of people were very doubtful if it would work or not. But for anybody who was sitting in that audience, they were mesmerized by her. There's no question. And I had always heard great things about her because when Ariana Grande and Jonathan Bailey were working on Wicked and I would talk to them, they all always said great things about her, how talented she was.
That voice.
So it was no surprise.
Yeah. All right. You mentioned Ariana Grande. There's a new Wicked coming out. I saw the first one and I'm like, wait, this thing is, there's
Yeah,
more?
it's not
Part two.
There's
Oh, you thought it was...
I thought, okay, because I saw
So you never saw the musical on Broadway?
I did, but I
Oh.
thought
Oh.
I had no idea they were going to divide it into two. I'm like, wait a second,
Right.
what's happening?
Right.
They seem to be wrapping this up. What's going on?
You know what's funny for me is that I had seen an early screening of it. I was told that I forgot what the length is, but it's long. It's a long movie, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, oh my God, that's really long. When they got to that part, I knew that's when it was ending. And I was like, oh, something's wrong. They made a mistake because it went by so fast. I was convinced it had been an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I was like, that. I could not believe how fast it went by. It was just incredible. Like, what an incredible movie, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to be a classic, I think, forever.
Are there new songs in the second part? Okay.
There is.
Okay. Who do you work with? The music composers or just the artists? When you have the arrangements,
Yeah.
it's up to you.
Every movie is different. You know, some movies I will work with the director. Like, for example, on the movies I worked with that came out last year, Maria with Angelina Jolie, I talked quite a bit to the director on that movie. And then A Complete Unknown, with Timotheé Chalamet and Monica Barbaro, I spoke a lot with the director and the music supervisor, Steve Gazicki, the music producer, who's really just a brilliant producer. He's amazing. I worked a lot with them. Then other times, it'll be more just with the artist, or I'll have like one meeting, let's say, with the director or with the music supervisor. But then it's really just me one-on-one with the people. So on Wicked, it was really just myself and Ariana for the most part. She's talked about this on interviews, so I'm not saying anything really new here, but we worked for months on just getting her ready for the audition. She is so diligent, so hardworking. She basically took lessons 5 days a week for several months leading up to the audition, just for the audition. Yeah. She wanted to earn the part. She did not want to get it because she was a famous pop star. She wanted to earn it and be completely right for it, and wanted everybody in that company to want her because she was great. And she was, and her audition was spectacular. And so then we worked again for months getting ready for her to go. So there was not very much interaction with me and the music, with Stephen Aremus again, who was the music producer, or Greg Wells, the music producer. It was just us. However, then with Jonathan Bailey, there was more interaction with me and some of the other people working on the film. Now, I know Stephen Schwartz. I've known him for years. He's been a friend of mine, but we never really talked about it. I knew what he wanted, and Stephen would tell me, oh, this is what Stephen's really looking for from Jonathan. But Jonathan and I, all our sessions were private, and all my sessions with Ariana were private. The majority of the time is with the actor one-on-one right in front of me, usually at my house, or sometimes in the case of Jonathan Bailey for Wicked, all on FaceTime, because he was going from Toronto. One day we were, doing a lesson on FaceTime, and I knew the apartment he was living in. It. The next day, I'm like, where are you? You're in a completely different place. He said, oh, I'm in London. I'm shooting Bridgerton today. I said, but yesterday you were in Toronto. And he says, yeah, I flew overnight. I'm doing that today. And then tomorrow I'll be working on Wicked. So everything was on FaceTime. FaceTime, to me, it started with Skype. That changed my life.
Yeah.
It opened up an incredible world. So when the pandemic came around, this was nothing new to me. I had been doing it for years on Skype. The first person, believe it or not, was Bette Midler when she was doing her Vegas residency. I was flying up and down, like sometimes, I think the first year 90 times or 93 times. And I said to her the second year, do you want to try this thing called Skype? And she was like, I've never heard of anything so stupid. And I said, well, let's just try it. And then she loved it. Yeah. And so all of a sudden I was off and running with that. And then from then on, people on tours, I no longer had to go on tour or whatever. I could just do it from my house. So I could work with people in 5 different countries in the same day. Like today, I already work with people in 3 different countries, FaceTiming them.
Yeah.
So convenient.
Yeah.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
It's helped our podcast.
Yeah, that happened during the pandemic.
Right.
We had so much more access to artists because nobody was going anywhere and everybody was they were just staying put.
And the technology has gotten better and better. In the beginning, a lot of it was me knowing the person because I would have definitely have worked quite often with them in person. So I knew their voice. I knew what they needed. I knew what they needed to hear from me. I knew the exercise I need to do with them. But now that technology has gotten so good that you can hear the person really well.
We've come a long way since Skype.
A long way, yeah.
I know we'll get to Jeremy Allen White, but Timotheé Chalamet, because there was something about this film. He embodied not just the voice, the quality of his voice, the similarities to Bob Dylan, but that he embodied Bob Dylan. There's got to be differences for you in somebody who, because you're not just, he's acting, obviously, but you're training him. Training the voice. Is that much different than coaching Ariana Grande for Wicked?
Well, once again, it's so individual with each person. I had already known Timotheé Chalamet because we worked on Wonka together. So I already knew him. He's one of those actors. I always say there's certain actors who are really artists who love acting and they don't really care or pay attention to the celebrity aspect of it. And he's one of them. I would say Austin Butler, too. We worked on Elvis before he went to Australia. He's one of those actors, too. He's just an actor who loves acting and isn't in it for the fame or isn't in it for the celebrity. And so I learned that with Timotheé right from the very beginning. And so I already knew his voice and what he was capable of from working with Wonka. So then when we were working with Bob Dylan, it was a little different than I would with someone I had just met. Because with someone I just met, a lot of times what I'll do is I will work with them on vocal exercises, just helping them get their voice in shape and to understand their voice. Because some of these people have never really sung. They've never had a voice lesson. So what I do is I just do vocal exercises, getting them to understand their voice, how to improve it, understanding how to breathe, how to support, where to place it, all of that. Then we move into the realm of whoever they're going to be portraying.
Okay.
So with Timotheé, we could go right into the Bob Dylan pretty quickly because we already knew each other, had already done vocal exercises. So when we were warming up, I would right from the start do exercises that I thought would make him sound more like Bob Dylan. Perhaps even exercises that Bob Dylan would have done if he had taken voice lessons. I don't think he did, but so I would do that right from the start. And so working with him, though, was such a pleasure because, I always feel like you learn something from each person you work with. And one of the things with him, he's such a great example of someone who takes his work very seriously and works very, very hard, but he also makes it really fun. It's like every lesson with him was fun, was really enjoyable. So I was like, I got to remember this, that yes, as serious as we take this, and especially sometimes there's a crunch time and you're really trying to get it done, get the work done, but you can also really have fun doing it and really keep it light. And that was one of the things he reminded me of.
So how do you manage the fine line between, you don't want it to be an exact replication or like a caricature, or just, you still want that Chalamet-ness to come across on screen.
Well, what I always say to people is, let's not think of this as an impersonation. That's a whole different thing. Like, there's a million Elvis impersonators out there, but they're not really capturing the essence or the magic of Elvis. What is the magic of him? So, for example, with Elvis, it would be like we would watch videos of him and, he would do that thing with his hips or with his shoulders. The audience would scream and he would get that look in his eye, like I knew that would get that response, or I did that on purpose. I knew that. So that's, to me, the magic of that person, that they know what they're doing. They get the response. They love the response. So that's what I always try to encourage people to do is like, let's find what's the essence that makes this person tick. And with Timotheé Chalamet, he's such a great actor anyway. I had first seen him in the movie Call Me By Your Name.
Yeah.
And I remember when I watched it, I said to my friend who I was watching it with, I have to work with him someday. I had no idea on what, but I was like, I'm putting that out into the universe. I must work with him someday. And then I got to do 2 movies. He was really, really good at capturing the essence of Bob Dylan and what Bob Dylan was all about. But he's so charismatic himself. It was like he didn't have to try to capture Bob's charisma because he already had his own, And so I think that just by really watching him and absorbing it. And like I said, sometimes during the lessons, I would say, let's do this exercise like Bob would, or what do you think Bob would think of this exercise, or how would he feel about this? And the more you talk about the person, or then watch videos of them speaking, interviews with them, all of that, you really get to know what they're like, because sometimes it's a matter of where are they in their life and what are they feeling at the time. Are they depressed? Are they happy? Are they on top of the world? Are they conflicted by their success? What's going on? And I had said one day to Timotheé, there was one documentary he really wanted me to watch to make sure I had seen it. And there's a part where Bob Dylan is walking, I don't remember if it's up or down a flight of stairs, but it's like several stairs, that circular kind of stairway. And everyone is staring at him, because he's now famous Bob Dylan. And people are watching him. And I said, oh, I know that look so well. He's recognizing that people are looking at him, but trying not to pay attention to it. Mm-hmm. But he knows you can see he knows they're all watching him, but he's trying not to get affected by it. And he doesn't want to be pompous or arrogant about it. But by the same token, you can't help be aware of, I'm being watched. It's like I'm in a fishbowl. And that's going to affect how your whole life is, how you talk to people, what you're going to be like backstage, what you're going to be like on stage. So I try to get into those aspects as well. Even though that's not technically part of my job, I always feel like it makes what I do with someone's voice better. Because like I said, if they're kind of going through a down period, their voice is going to reflect that. Or if they're in a fragile state, like at the end, I worked on the Judy Garland movie with Renee Zellweger, and who won the Oscar, by the way. And she was so great. And that was such a great working experience. But, at the end, Judy's much more fragile than she would have been when she's younger. And so that's going to reflect in their voice. So you don't want to just copy that. You want to understand, why does it sound fragile? Why is she a little weaker? Why is she not belting it the same way? And then when you do that, you're really capturing who that person is.
We are talking with Eric Vetro. He is a vocal coach, and he has given us some stories. I think he's even got some more. We'll get into the Springsteen stories right after our message. We'll be right back.
When I dropped the needle for the first time, wow, it was magic. The warmth, the texture, the way it pulled you into the music. If you want to feel that again, the Andover Spin Duo is where you start. It's not just a turntable. The Spin Duo comes with a Spin Bass 2 speaker, high fidelity, solid components, no flimsy plastic. It fills the room, and it's versatile enough to hook up to other devices via Bluetooth. And yeah, it even comes with a remote. Andover makes a whole family of gear. Spin Bass 2 Max if you want to step it up, or the Andover One if you're chasing true audiophile heaven. But here's the thing. For anyone getting into or back into vinyl, the Spin Duo is the easy, fun, no compromise way in. And right now, Pantheon listeners get 15% off at andoveraudio.com/Pantheon. That's andoveraudio.com/Pantheon. Drop the needle and join me back in the groove.
This episode is brought to you by Indeed. When your computer breaks, you don't wait for it to magically start working again. You fix the problem. So why wait to hire the people your company desperately needs? Use Indeed's sponsored jobs to hire top talent fast. And even better, you only pay for results. There's no need to wait. Speed up your hiring with a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply.
Purina believes no one should have to make the impossible choice between their own safety and their pets. But nearly half of domestic abuse survivors delay leaving because they can't bring their pets with them. Through the Purple Leash Project, Purina is helping create more pet-friendly domestic violence shelters so survivors and their pets can escape and heal together. Visit Purina.com/purple to learn more.
We're back on the What Difference Does It Make podcast with our guest, Eric Vetro.
So do you feel like you're kind of a director?
No, I would never say that, but I would say I try to do everything I can to help whoever I'm working with really capture that person in their portrayal. Even the clothes that they wear. I remember Austin started wearing more and more clothes that I thought, I think Elvis would have probably worn this on his day off.
Well, it seemed like Austin Butler, who we're talking about, who played Elvis brilliantly, it seemed like even during interviews, he was kind of still Elvis in a while.
Yeah, I think he really took it on and he really worked really hard. It was a big thing for him, a big dream. I think he talked about this, I'm not sure. His audition, which helped him get the role, was that he had read in Priscilla Presley's book how the real Elvis, the real emotional Elvis, who he really was, would come out in the middle of the night when he couldn't sleep and would sit at the piano and play the piano and sing a song. And that was his audition. He filmed himself in the middle of the night in a bathrobe, hair kind of tousled from sleep. And so that informed him. So I think the really, really great actors find out as much as they can about the person. They read about them, they watch interviews, so they know what's going on in the person's life. And so then they start taking that on themselves. And sometimes it's awkward, it can be if the person's, going through a difficult period, you start feeling those vibes. And sometimes it takes a toll on the actor. It's exhausting to them to do that.
The difference, as you said, between embodying them or emulating them.
Yes, yes, exactly. You just don't want it to be an impersonation. I was lucky that many years ago I saw a movie with an actress and she played a famous person. And I remember watching it, and this is before I ever started working with any of these people I'm working with on biopics. And I remember thinking, what is wrong? She looks like her. She's acting just like her. Her voice, her speaking voice, but it's just not her. Like, it's not landing for me. And then I realized, because the person she's playing had such charisma and this person doesn't have it. And that person had such energy. And this person just didn't get the energy. She got everything else right, but without that energy, without that charisma, without that intensity, it falls flat. It's just not interesting.
Yeah, that's why with Timotheé Chalamet and as Dylan, you can't take your eyes off of him, and it's not like you look like him. It's not like you sound, exactly like him.
As a matter of fact, I will tell you this. So I went to the LA premiere, and I had not seen the whole movie. And so I was seeing it from start to finish, and I'm there in the theater watching it. And I don't remember what part of it was. It was really towards the end. And someone next to me said something and pulled me out of it for a second. And I realized, I forgot I was watching Timothy and Monica, who played Joan Baez. Mm-hmm. I forgot I was watching them. And I knew them really well, especially at that moment, because I had been with them so much that year. Right. I had worked a lot with them. Timothy on 2 movies, Monica, I saw her quite a bit. Working on, she had never sung or played the guitar before. So we worked a lot. And I forgot I was watching them. I really was just watching Bob Dylan and Joan Baez. And I thought, wow, these people are... I can't say effing fantastic. These are really great actors, because I forgot I was even watching the people I know. Yeah. They were so great. So to me, those are such fulfilling moments. Those are so exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess Bob was complimentary about the movie. I think Joan Baez also was like...
I believe so, yeah.
Did you never got a chance to talk to Joan? I don't know if she was...
No, I didn't meet Joan or Bob. I don't think Timothy did. He might have since he made the movie. I don't think he did before the movie.
So Timothy performed as he did some Dylan songs on Saturday Night Live. Did you work with him on that too? Because that was super surprising to see it.
No, I didn't. Wait, did I warm him? I think I did warm him up. FaceTime. Isn't that awful? I don't remember. I do so many hours every day with so many different people that it becomes a little bit of a blur. Certain things will stand out, like certain moments you could ask me about at the recording studio. I could tell you what everybody was wearing, what song we did first, how many takes. I could tell you everything. And then other things, it's just kind of a blur. And I don't know why. That's just the way my mind works. But I thought he did such a great job on SNL. I mean, he was just amazing, right?
Oh, yeah.
It was surprising.
That was the best.
God, but he's so talented that, I think he could do anything.
All right, so let's stop talking about other people. Let's talk about you.
I'm not as interesting.
Where'd you come from? How are you mentioning, you're like name dropping Ariana Grande and Timothée Chalamet, Austin Butler, like it's nothing. Well, where'd you come? Where are you? Who are you?
Okay, well, first of all, just so you know, I do not think of it as nothing. I don't mention these people because I am in awe of the fact that I get to work with them. I mean, every day I don't literally pinch myself, but I almost do because I cannot believe I get to do this. It's a miracle to me that every single day I'm getting to work with these people. So talented, so nice, so alive and energetic, and I learn so much from them, and they're so fascinating. So anyway, I grew up in a tiny little city called Gloversville, New York. And now, I don't know if you can guess, but I'm going to think about it if you think really hard. Gloversville, New York. Do you know what they made in Gloversville, New York?
Is it the Playtex factory? Is that?
No, they made gloves.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Gloves of all sorts.
That's amazing.
Leather gloves especially. At one time, I think they made 1/3 of the entire world's gloves. I think that was sort of the calling card or whatever.
That's
that.
hilarious.
Yeah, and it's a small little city, so it was kind of a factory town. It's a very non-glamorous name and city nearby a very glamorous city called Saratoga Springs.
Okay.
Oh.
And Saratoga had the great amphitheater, Saratoga Amphitheater, which I loved going to every summer. That was like, I couldn't wait for the summer just to go there and watch, performers. I watched John Denver perform, and the ballet would come every year, the New York City Ballet. It was great. And then I went back because some of my students actually sang there, and that was really fun when they performed there. But it was a factory town, and although it did have a pretty good school music program, I will say that. Our musicals were really fully produced musicals.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I played the piano for several of them, quite a few of them actually, and they would rent from Saratoga. There was a piano store. And when Liberace, do you remember the name Liberace, the great pianist?
Yes.
The great, I say, the famous, I should say.
He was
famous
good.
Pianist. He was very good. He was very good. So Liberace, when he would travel, he traveled with a glass top of a piano, and it was a certain make Baldwin piano. So whenever he would get on stage, he would say, with the glass top piano, "Do you like my piano? It's the only one like it in the world with a glass top." But it wasn't the only one. It wasn't even his. Every city he would go to, they would get this model, certain model Baldwin piano, and then just attach the glass top because it would fit. And so they rented that piano for me to play on. And he had signed the inside of it. And that was thrilling to me. Like, oh my God, Liberace signed this piano. And by the way, now my piano is signed by everybody I've worked with. So you can imagine how many people are on it.
I saw a picture.
And I want to give it to a charity when I'm no longer around for them to auction off and, for the charity. So our musicals were quite exceptional, I have to say, when I think back on them. There was a lot of rehearsal, and I loved playing them. I loved it. I loved teaching the kids the songs. But it really goes way back to when I was in the 3rd or 4th grade. I'm never sure. I think it was the 3rd grade. When the teacher, every morning we would sing a patriotic song like America the Beautiful, Star Spangled Banner. And my teacher could not play the piano very well. So we, and it was driving me crazy. I thought, boy, she's really bad. Now, I wasn't a bold or an aggressive kid, but I went up to her one day after school and I said, "Excuse me, but I can play those songs if you want." And she said, "You can?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's let me hear you. And so I sat down at the piano and I played them, and she went, "Oh my God, from now on, yes, I want you to." And the next day she made a big statement. "From now on, Eric Vetro will be playing the piano for us to sing to." And I remember that day like it was yesterday, because I felt, even though I don't remember the grade, I remember the feeling of, wow, this is like, I'm somebody. Like, it made me feel really special,
Are you self-taught? Did you have a teacher?
Well, my father started teaching me, and then I had several different piano teachers.
Okay.
And I took it very seriously.
You started it early, clearly.
Yeah, probably when I was five
Yeah.
or six. But I took to it right away. And like I said, once she said that, I feel like she handed me an identity.
Right.
Yeah.
And that was it. Then kids would ask me, like one of my neighbors, Jamie Reisdorf, if she's listening, she had a piano at her house. So I would, go and play the piano and she would sing. Or my cousin, Deborah Russo-Peretzman, another shout out, she started entering beauty pageants. And so I would coach her and get her ready to sing. That was her talent. And she also sang in some of the school musicals. And so that really became my identity for such an early age. Probably the one that was most significant. The briefest but most significant was when I was in the 5th grade. The most popular boy in class, Jackie Johnston, who's no longer with us, he asked me to teach him a song because there was a musical skit, Cinderella. It was like a 10-minute skit or whatever, and he wanted to play the prince. So I taught him the song, and that sort of bonded us. We could not have been more different. We were so different. But for then on until high school, whenever we'd see each other in the hallway or whatever, we had this bond from that moment.
Right.
And so, like I said, early on, I got this identity of, oh, this is what I do. This is who I am. And so that's why I think I had the courage to have this dream of coming to Hollywood and working with pop stars and movie stars. And my father would just get so irritated. Like if I said, this is what I plan on doing, he'd be like, what the hell are you talking about? How do you think you're going to get to Hollywood? And who's going to want to work with you?
You are a glove man.
Yeah.
Well, my mother wanted me to become a lawyer like he was.
Yeah.
He was a lawyer. But I get it. Looking back, I have to give him a little bit of grace in that how did I think that was going to happen? What would make me think I was going to work
right.
with these big? How was I even going to meet them in the first place? And why would they want to work with me from Gloversville, New York? But I just always knew. I just knew that's what I wanted to do. That's what I was going to do. And that's what I do.
That's what more people should have, that quality, whatever drove you to do it, to believe that you could do it.
Well, I do have a strong belief. If you believe you're going to do it, you can do it.
Yeah.
But you have to keep that belief no matter what happens. If someone does say to you, like my father and my mother too, like she thought I was crazy too, it was like...
Because there's no set plan. Like you go to law school, you become a lawyer,
Yeah.
like there's
Exactly.
A, B, C, you become this person.
But did they recognize your talent?
Not really. Not yes and no. Not really. My mother actually irritated her that I wanted to be musical in some ways. I mean, she liked it when she would have a dinner party. I would sit down like a trained monkey over there, playing the piano and entertaining the guests. And so she loved that. But as far as making a living, the only two voice teachers she knew taught voice in Gloversville, and they didn't make a great living at it. Yeah. And,
so that's what they saw. Yeah.
one had a bad toupee and the other had a smelly suit. It's like, why would you want to be one of those two people? That's what I think she thought. And then when I went to NYU and started taking courses, and I took some courses at Juilliard, I think she recognized, this can be on a higher level. This can be on a really big level, but certainly still not to the level it became.
Right.
So did you know, when you were playing piano, did you know you could sing as well?
Yeah, I used to love to sing, actually. But then when I did go to New York, lived in New York, went to NYU, took some classes at Juilliard, took some classes at other schools, I realized I had, first of all, a bit of stage fright. I didn't enjoy being in front of an audience. Even though I liked singing, I didn't enjoy being in front of an audience. And also, I didn't think I had that thing it takes to get up on stage. You have to really love it so much that you're going to take first of all, a lot of rejection that can come with it, but also just the nerves that you have to do and all the chances. Like, you're taking a chance every time you get on stage that anything could go wrong. You could crack, you could forget the words, whatever. But I loved working behind the scenes. And I had done this one musical. It was Light Opera Manhattan. I'm drawing a blank on the name. It was a Gilbert and Sullivan piece. And I thought, I'm not really enjoying being on stage, but what I am loving is giving hints and helpful hints and techniques to the other singers. Yeah. And so at the end of that, I was like, well, that's what I should be doing, because I love doing that. And now I'm still a part of the whole operation. I'm a part of the whole project, but I'm not putting myself out there in a place that I don't really think I belong or love.
But so you did recognize it.
So you get out to Hollywood. How do you start? How do you make a name for yourself?
It happened so unbelievably gradually.
Well, that's the way it happened.
It just happened little
but it
by
all
little
makes
by
sense.
little.
But when you look back, it's like, oh yeah, of course, because of this happened, right?
Yeah, exactly. And then it was just word of mouth. I worked with someone who became a swing in Les Mis, Edie Allison, who's still my friend. And so she became a swing in Les Mis. She introduced me to an actor who was in Les Mis with one of the larger roles. Then through him, I met someone else in Les Mis. Then it just went on from there. Yeah. It kept growing. The other one was I used to play the piano for a singer named Samantha Samuel. She was a cabaret singer. And I played in this little nightclub called The Rose Tattoo. And I started meeting people there, and so then people would say, oh, she would talk about how I was her voice teacher as well as being her accompanist. So people would say, oh, I'd like to take lessons. Yeah. And then once again, it just became, they introduced me to someone, they introduced me. And little by little.
Like a pinball machine. You're just bouncing, boom, 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 boom.
But it was not like I got one big lucky break. It was just step by step by step.
And that's the best way. That's how you stay humble.
Yeah.
Like you recognize.
But I will say this, two of the people who probably were big supporters of mine, who really were instrumental and helpful to me in my career, were producing team named Craig Zadan and Neil Marin. Neil Marin, who I mentioned earlier, who did Jesus Christ Superstar recently, he and his producing partner, Craig Zadan, right from the start were always so great to me. Craig would invite me to his house whenever he was having a big get together, and I'd walk in and I'd be like, how did I get invited here? There's all these famous people here and all these big stars or big people in the business. Why did he think I would fit in? But anyway, I just dove in and did my best, to keep up. And they actually hired me to work on their remake of Annie. And simultaneously, I was working on Stephen Schwartz's project, Geppetto, with Drew Carey and Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And so little by little, you do one of those, and then all of a sudden you meet people from there. I want to tell you one last thing.
Oh, please do.
This is my motto, and I tell everybody this. It doesn't matter what business you're in, but of course, especially in the entertainment business, if you work at your highest level and do the very best job you can, and if you're gracious to work with, and if you're positive to work with, you will get recommended to other people. So I always say to people, it doesn't matter how small the job is. It could be one day working on a movie, just one day, or one time with somebody who you don't think is even going to remember you. But if you really work hard and do your very best, they will remember you and they will recommend you. And so that's what I always say to everyone. That's how I made my way.
I feel like in high school, they might have recognized your talent. You must have been in a rock band or something. Like there must have been a band.
I was going towards rock too.
Yeah. Like
No, I was never in a rock band. Although my cousin who was in marketing at MCA Records at the time introduced me to someone named Johnny, and he had an idea of a band, which was really actually a great idea. I think it was going to be called Johnny Clone, and it was going to be where, I don't know if we were wearing masks, but everybody in the band would look exactly the same.
Okay.
Because they would wear some kind of
Love it.
mask that
Yeah.
would be like the spotlight would hit the lead singer, but then all of a sudden it would go to the drummer, same face, go to the keyboard player. Same face. So for a minute, I was going to be a part of that. It never materialized, and so I never got to do it. I played in high school in the stage band,
Sure,
and in
of
the band
course.
for the musicals, but I was never in a rock band.
Okay.
No, but I taught a lot of rock singers, through the day.
That's
through
where
the
I was
years.
going.
Yeah,
I was
And
wondering.
still do.
and there's still time for Johnny Clone. I feel like Johnny Clone is an idea whose
Maybe.
time
We're
is
gonna
is
revive
coming.
the idea.
Yeah.
Maybe it could happen. Well, nowadays with everything that they have, can you imagine with AI?
Right.
Yeah.
So your preferred music that you listen to, is it Broadway? Is it rock? Is it?
It's everything,
pop?
really. It's absolutely everything. I'm a Gemini, which I think makes me open to everything. Geminis have trouble making up their mind. This is my favorite. This is my favorite. Everything is my favorite, So I don't really have one. It depends on what mood I'm in. One of the things that, again, I feel so lucky for, so unbelievably lucky for, is that I work with such a wide range of people, age-wise, from really young to really old, genres. I love working on the movie musicals. That is so much fun for me. But I also love working with the musical artists. I love working with the ones that are just starting out. The past year, young kids that I've been working with are doing great. Alex Warren, I started with him during the pandemic, and his song Ordinary has been number one for like weeks and weeks and weeks. I think he overtook the Elvis record in the UK of being number one. And so to watch him grow, or Addison Rae, who I think some people weren't sure about, how is she going to make the transition from influencer to artist. And her record came out and people loved it and people embraced it so well. And I've known Addison for a few years and worked on that project with her. And it's just thrilling to see these people work so hard. And, I work with Rosé from Blackpink, and seeing the success she's having right now, I think the more nominations for a K-pop artist than ever. So these are all really young artists emerging. And Sabrina Carpenter, I met when she was 12 years old. So to watch her trajectory all these years, watching her continually maintain a really good quality of excellence the whole time. But, the past 2 years have been unbelievable for her. Ariana Grande, the same thing. From the day I met her, I was like, this girl is a star. And I remember the first year I worked with her, before she started emerging as a star, friends of mine would say, enough about this girl. Ariana, enough. You've talked enough about her. And I was like, you have no idea. She's going to be the biggest star on the planet. She's so talented. And sure enough, she did it. So I love working with so pop singers. I love working with them. Classical singers, Broadway. Leah Michelle, the whole time she was doing Funny Girl, we FaceTimed every single week working on it. And she has a new show that we'll be working on coming this fall. So I just feel lucky that I love all these different types of genres of music and that I get to work with them. And then also, when I was growing up, I loved Elvis Presley. I just, Elvis Presley, to me, he had such a great voice that he could have done anything. Like if he had said, I want to be a Broadway singer, if he took a voice lessons, he could have been a Broadway singer. I think he probably could have sung opera if he wanted. Judy Garland, some of these people were so great. Well, I obviously didn't get to work with them because I was still living in Gloversville at the time, but I got to work on their movies. How great is that? Like to work with Austin on Elvis or Renee on Judy. I felt like, I sort of manifested this. I used to pretend, what would it be like to play the piano? Love Me Tender, while Elvis was singing it. And I kind of got to do it, as close as you possibly could. So I've been very lucky.
Amazing. The singer who has a big Elvis Presley influence is Bruce Springsteen. So there's a lot of Elvis and Bruce.
Yes.
And so do you bring that, the Elvis to Bruce to Jeremy Allen White? What was your your endpoint? How did you train Jeremy Allen White for this upcoming movie that's coming out?
Well, they called me, Danielle Diego, the music supervisor, called me about working with him. And also, Jeremy and I knew a mutual artist. I had never met him, but we knew a mutual artist who's a very successful singer. So he knew who I was from her. And so he came over the first day, and I said, like I was saying earlier, that sometimes if someone hasn't sung a lot, I like to do some lessons with just giving them voice lessons, as if I'm just working on their voice, to teach them how to breathe properly, support their voice, exercises that will stretch their range higher and lower, exercises that will build up their stamina. And so just so they become comfortable with their own voice. And then we start working on the sounds that we need for whoever they're portraying. So that's what I did with Jeremy. First, just gave him some voice lessons, trying to have him understand his voice, and then started working towards the Bruce Springsteen sound. But, Bruce Springsteen has a very distinctive voice, very distinctive sound. I remember when we were first working on it, I pulled up the YouTube video of We Are the World. And that video, of course, is a unbelievable once-in-a-lifetime video. And every one of those singers was so distinctive. Each one that came on, whether it was Michael Jackson or Diana Ross or all of these people, Lionel Richie, they all were such distinctive artists. But I remember when Bruce came on, it was like so powerful, so intense. And I just love that about him, because I always think of singers, I narrow it down to two categories. There's obviously many categories of singers, but for me, I love either the singers that just have these great voices and know how to use them, or I love these singers who are so unique that their voice, it within 10 seconds of listening to them. Like Tom Waits would be in that category. Right away, you're listening to Tom Waits, you're certainly not listening to Frank Sinatra. So you're listening and you understand it. And Bruce Springsteen, not only is his tone quality, but his intensity is so strong. So even on the songs from the Nebraska album, which this movie is all about, even though those songs are not high energy songs, they're not like Born to Run, although that's part of it, Born to Run or Born in the USA. It's still Bruce Springsteen with an intensity and a sincerity. Like you really feel like you're hearing him, his soul almost, talk to you.
Yeah.
And so it's so intimate. And so I was so excited about working on the movie because of that, because you're going to be listening to these people a lot. So you hope that you're going to like the person.
Right.
I really think if it was a singer I didn't really love or care about, I might just say, I'm busy, I don't think I can do this. Because I wouldn't want to have to listen to them so much or their music, but I've been lucky that all the people I have loved. So anyway, with Jeremy, he started getting it very quickly, much faster than I would have ever thought, because when we were just working on his voice, I thought, well, he doesn't really sound like Bruce Springsteen, so this is going to take a lot of work. And then I was very surprised. He really surprised me. But, he's also in that category of actor who loves being an actor, a real artist. He's very calm to be around. I don't find there to be any uncomfortable energy. He's very relaxed. If something looks daunting or difficult, he'll go, well, I have to work really hard on this. But he's not panicked about it. He's very confident that he's going to work on it and make it work. And he did very quickly. I started thinking, oh, he is starting to sound like Bruce Springsteen. And that was so exciting. So exciting.
How long in?
Very fast. I mean, I would say maybe the third or fourth week, I started going, oh, he's going to be great. Like, wow. And then, of course, I don't want to think like this because I don't want to be that person, but I did think he's going to get nominated for an Oscar. And then I started thinking, I bet he's going to win this Oscar, because he was doing so well. And by the way, I don't think if you don't win, it's a loss. If you're nominated, it's the cliche to say it's an honor, but it is an honor because there can only be one winner. And so all of these people nominated usually have given great performances. Yeah. And so, but you can't have 5 winners, although I wish they would. I wish they would just say, you know what, it's a tie with all 5 because they were all great. But you can't do that. But I did think people are going to really love this movie. And then what was so gratifying is when the trailer came out, that so many people loved it. And I was like, yes, they get it. They see it right away.
Were you familiar with the Nebraska album?
Not overly familiar with it. I had heard it and everything. It wasn't like on my list of go-to, listen to all the time albums.
Well, you're right.
I don't think it's that for anybody.
Maybe. I mean, it's kind of depressing. It's so thought-provoking. The last song that I worked on with Jeremy that he recorded, I wasn't in studio with him when he did it. As a matter of fact, it was 2 days here in LA. Everything else was on the East Coast. It was 2 days here in LA. And like I said, I had done FaceTime with him when he wasn't here in LA. We did all our voice lessons, though, initially here in LA. So it was here in LA that he recorded Used Cars. And I was going to go on Saturday, but I warmed him up for his first recording session on Friday. They called me Friday night and said, he did great. He did it all at once. He's finished. I was like, no. Oh, God. Because I wanted to be there so badly. But anyway, that song is so heart-wrenching to me. That one line where, now I'm going to paraphrase, I don't remember, but he says something like, I will never let that happen to me. I will never have to drive a used car. And I just thought, when I was growing up, we weren't super rich, but my father could buy a new car. But I remember thinking for the kids whose parents couldn't, that just seemed to me that for a child, a son, to be thinking that, oh, my poor dad can't buy a new car, how awful that must be and how sad that must be, and all the ramifications. Does the father know the son feels that way or whatever? Because I look at it and I go, hey, look, your dad's doing the best he can. Like, I certainly wouldn't think there was anything sad about that, but maybe to a child it is. And that song certainly evokes that feeling. So that's why the album Nebraska wasn't like on my going in the morning list. I will say this about it. Once, I had spoken to Danielle, the music supervisor, about it. Of course, I started listening to it right away. And then I read the book by Warren
Zane,
which you guys interviewed.
Yeah,
I love that. That was a great podcast. So I wanted to know everything about it. And I will say that was very enjoyable. Doing it for a reason, especially, was enjoyable because I thought, wow, you can really see him in that bedroom with that, was it a TAC, I think?
Yeah.
The 4-track. Yeah, the Tascam. I thought, wow, I can really see him in there, and he's in such a zone, in such a mood, and it's so fitting that it's in a bedroom, and not in a recording studio. And I thought, there was such a magic about that I don't think anyone could capture that in a recording studio. You drive into the recording studio, then you have to say, hi, how you doing today? How you doing?
Yeah.
Good, blah, blah, blah. Oh, I'm excited about working with you. All of that stuff. I don't know if you could get into the place of what he achieved with that Nebraska album if he had done it. Well, obviously he couldn't, and he tried, and he couldn't. And so that's why it's the demos.
There's some Born in the USA material on the movie. How do you train Jeremy to be, like intimate in a bedroom, to just him, to doing like a Glory Days type song where it's just, good times and, hey, we're doing stadiums. We got 100,000 people here, so what is the difference?
Right. Well, first of all, he flew over to, I guess it was Wembley Stadium where Bruce was performing to watch him.
Okay.
And then he got to spend time with Bruce. So I think that watching him live really made him understand what the Bruce Springsteen experience would be on stage. And so I think that was really helpful to him. But I felt like my job was to go, okay, to be able to sing like that, which is hard, especially if that's not your voice. If you're born with that voice, that's one thing. Now, of course, you can enhance it or ruin it by singing well or not singing well, or singing properly, not singing properly, all of that. Also, I always say you should take a holistic approach. Everything you eat and everything you drink affects your voice. How much sleep you get affects your voice. If you're eating foods that are on the acid reflux diet, you may suffer for that and get hoarse. So everything that you're doing is going to affect your voice. But anyway, going back to Jeremy, I thought I just need to help him do exercises that are going to build up his voice so strong that he can do it without losing his voice. So, because what if he has to do it 10 times in a row in the recording studio? Or what if they decide we're going to record it live like they did, with a complete unknown? All of a sudden they were like, both of them, Monica and Timothy, can both sing it live. Let's do it live. So I wanted him to be ready for anything. And that's what I always think with everybody. You want him to be ready for anything. So I did exercises that I felt like really helped him build up his voice, breath support, so when he's doing all of those big, high, strong notes, he would be capable of doing them. And then we practiced doing them and listening. And sometimes you go, okay, let's go through the song, or let's maybe just a section, maybe 3 lines. And then let's listen to Bruce. What's the difference? What did you just do that was missing that maybe Bruce put into it? And then you go back and do it again. It's that type of thing. And I do that with everybody that I work with on a biopic.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see this movie.
I think it's going to be spectacular.
Yeah.
I think you're going to just love it. I think everyone's going to really love it. And what's exciting to me is that it's going to bring a whole new generation of people to Bruce Springsteen who might not know him, might not understand the magic of what he did, the intensity he brought to it, that live performing, which he was so great at. And I think it's going to inspire a lot of artists. I really do. Just like I think the Bob Dylan movie also did that. Young artists that I work with, I didn't know if they would even know who Bob Dylan was. I mean, people like us know, of course, and we go, of course you would know. But sometimes you'd be surprised that people who are very young, if their parents weren't listening to it in the house and they didn't have friends who did, they don't know who some of these people are. I mean, I once said to somebody, well, she's no Barbara Streisand. And they went, what's that? I was like, oh my God, how could you not know? But they don't. So anyway, I think for the younger generation, this is going to be a movie that will really inspire them and bring his music to them. And how great that he still performs, so you can still go see him.
Have you ever gone to a Springsteen show?
I have. A long time ago I did. And it's everything you want it to be. Yeah. You know, I've never met him, although ironically, I was at a party. It was a crazy party at someone's house. I can't even begin to tell you the people who were there. But I'll just tell you this. When Barack Obama and Michelle walked in, I was like, okay, wait a minute. Am I really here? Am I not dreaming? I think I'm here. I can feel my body. But anyway, and Bruce Springsteen was actually sitting in the next sofa to where I was sitting with my friend at the moment, Diane Warren, the songwriter. We were sitting there. And once again, I'm usually not starstruck because I'm working with these people every day, but I just didn't know what to say that could be said that wasn't said. So I didn't say anything, which is, now looking back, I so regret it because I wish I had talked to him. And I'm sure he was very nice and approachable, but he was just sitting there with his wife and he wasn't talking to anyone at that moment. And so I was just like,
you had a moment. You could have.
I had a moment. I know. Isn't that so sad?
Well, now you have an in.
Now I have an in. Well, now, of course, I'm going to guess what?
Guess what?
Hey, Bruce.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah, exactly.
I could teach people to sing like you.
Yeah, exactly. So I will definitely, I'm hoping to run into him.
How do you teach the everyman? Is it possible that like you could teach someone like Holly and I to sing?
I always say anyone can get better. I can help anybody improve. So I always say to people, I guarantee I can help you improve. I guarantee I can make you sound better. Can I make you great? I don't know. I won't know till we do it because I don't know what your vocal potential is. And sometimes you hear someone and you think, oh God, loser, this is never going to work. And then they surprise you and they get really good. Then there's other people you go, oh my God, there was an actor I worked with a long time ago and I thought, oh my God, this guy has so much potential. And then it turned out never got better than that day. But part of that was because he had no work ethic and he didn't work at it.
Right.
So if you don't have a work ethic, it's not going to happen. If you don't have a passion for what you do, not going to happen. So that's my answer, that everyone can be improved, but not everyone can sing. And there are people that are basically tone deaf, or what they used to call it tin ear. Yeah. I mean, there are those people. So when people say, can you teach anyone to sing? I say, no, I can't. And I'm not even going to attempt it.
Well, yeah, that's why we do the podcast, because we know we can't.
Yeah.
But you're doing what you do great.
Yeah.
And that's what I always say to people, do what you do great. There was one actor who came to me who, he was just terrible. And the producers of a musical had said, money is no object. We will pay you anything you ask for, and we'll pay you every single day if you want. We want him to star in our show. And within the first 30 minutes, I was like, he can't sing. There's no way he could sing. Maybe with a little movie magic, maybe I would attempt it, but Broadway, forget it. And I said to him, I'm going to be really honest with you. You're a terrific actor. That's where you should spend your time. Don't try to do something you can't. In a competitive field, by the way. Yeah. Don't try to do something that you're just not cut out to do. We
are bad enough so that when we say, oh, do you remember that song? And we try to, sing a line from it, that we still wouldn't recognize it.
But I'll tell you this. When I worked with Maria with Angelina Jolie, the first lesson, she was really, really shut down about singing. She had never sung. She told me that she didn't even sing Happy Birthday because someone had once said to her, you can't sing, don't sing along. And so she didn't. And she wouldn't mind me saying this because she said this in interviews. And she actually said to me, you can tell it, it's fine with me. I tried to get her to sing and I couldn't get her to even do a note. And finally I was like, let's just do a little easy slide. Let's go. She went to do it and started to cry. I mean, really cry. But, there was something, I didn't crumble or get nervous or anything because I might have, it's Angelina Jolie, perhaps one of the most beautiful women on the planet, and very powerful presence. When she walks into the room, she has this beautiful presence about her, but very powerful. And I thought, oh my God, I'm making her cry. But then I thought, I'm not nervous about this because I believe that she will make it through this. I just had that feeling that she's the type of person that was, I'll make this work. Don't worry about me. And she did. And then a couple months into it is when I thought, oh my God, she's singing opera. She knows every lyric. She knows every note. She's actually doing it. And that was completely thrilling. So like I said, I have seen people go from 0 to 10, and it's amazing. Or 0 to 100, however you want to put it.
Work ethic too.
Yes. Oh, absolutely a work ethic.
What was the Meryl Streep movie where she's an opera singer who can't sing?
Yes.
How do you teach someone to not sing?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I did it with that actor I'm talking about who wanted to go to Broadway. Well, the addendum to that story, by the way, is, so I said to him, look, I really like you. You've got a great personality. When you walked in, I was so excited about working with you. But I'm going to be honest with you. You have something that's very difficult to fix, and that is you have no perception of pitch. I said, I can fix almost anything else. I'm very confident in that. But when your pitch is, I can improve someone's pitch, but you have zero. But you're not matching one note. And I was like, to think you could do a Broadway show, I don't want to lead you on, and I don't want to spend months and months and months making you think this is going to work when I know it's not. And God knows I don't want you to embarrass yourself. And so he looked a little dejected. I could see he was a little, but I said, but you're a terrific actor. He had just made a big splash in some movie. I said, that's what you should be working on. Work on something you're really great at. And so the next morning, I swear to God, this happened. My phone rang and I happened to pick it up. And this girl said, this was before, you had your phone with you at every single second. My landline rang. I picked it up. And this girl was talking really soft and said, I'm so-and-so's girlfriend, and I'm a singer, and I know he can't sing, but I couldn't say it to him because I thought he would hate me if I said it. Thank you for telling him he couldn't sing. I saw your name on his, calendar with your number. That's how I got your number. Thank you for being honest. You really did him a favor. And that was many, many years ago, but I thought, okay, I'm right about this. I did do him a favor. Yeah. But it's really great when people come up to me. I was working out one day. I was on the elliptical machine and someone came up and said, you're Katy Perry's voice teacher, right? This was a long time ago, like probably 10 years ago or something. And I said, yeah, how did you know? And I thought maybe they had seen me on something with her. And they said, I'm her in-ears monitor guy. I hear your voice every single night in the dressing room because she was doing her warm-ups to a CD I had made her. He said, I hear your voice every single night. I was like, I couldn't love hearing that more.
All right, so that leads us into, you have a Masterworks, right?
It's the British version of Masterclass. It's on the BBC Maestro, which is a great series. When they called me about working on it, they said, well, Mark Ronson did the one on music production, Bill Lawrence did the one on television writing, Sir Tim Rice did the one on lyric writing. I was like, stop, you had me at Mark Ronson. Right? Of course, are you kidding? And they're a very classy organization, a really terrific organization led by this man named Michael Levine, who is just like, I don't know how to say, he's just like I don't want to say a peach of a human being. He's a mensch of a human being. He is just a fantastic human being. He is so enthusiastic, so passionate about these courses and everything that he produces, everything that he puts out on the bbcmaestro.com program. He is just an amazing human being. And from the top down, how they always say the top down, every single person in the organization is fantastic. And so, I was excited first that they asked me, but then when I thought about it, what I really got excited about it, I thought, well, this is not just for people who want to learn to sing. It is for those people who have aspirations of singing. And they might want to go to someone who taught some of these people that I've worked with. But that person might not be in their city. Maybe they can't afford that person. Whatever. They don't have the time to go. They're working, whatever. So it's for those people, but it's also for people maybe who started out wanting to be a musical artist or a musical theater actor, but they didn't get to do it. And now they're working another job, but they still want to be able to sing. Mm-hmm. Or someone who wants to go to karaoke and do a really great job at karaoke. So I thought this is really great for them. They can come home at night and do it in the privacy of their own home. They can really do it in their car if they want. There's over 54 vocal exercises, 108 when you really count it up, because for male voices, female voices. And I thought this is going to be great for those people. And what's really been gratifying is some people have recognized me. I was at Bloomingdale's with my friend David, who loves it whenever this happens, when he sees it happen. And this man came over and said, you're Eric Vetro, the voice teacher, right? And I said, I am. And he said, he motions and his family comes over, all of them, the wife, the daughter, 2 daughters, and the son. And they had gotten the program for their one daughter who wanted to become a singer, but the man said, we're all doing it now. We're all doing it. I'm doing the ones, my wife is doing it, my other daughter is doing it. And so I thought, this is fantastic that it's reaching all of these people who I would never get to meet or work with. Right. There's only a certain amount of hours in the day. I don't have all day I don't have limitless time. And I thought, wow, so this is really affecting a lot of different people. So It's really gratifying. If you want to check it out, BBC Maestro, Sing Like the Stars. But I'm really proud of it because I put so much into it. I think it's their longest one they ever did, 8 hours. But it's got videos on what to eat, what to drink, how to practice, what exercises to do. Then it shows me correcting people or giving a masterclass, talking to kids. And the masterclass has people of all ages in it. Maybe one needs to pronounce the words a little bit better. One needs more dynamic changes. So they get to watch how I would work with someone, then they can apply that to themselves. By the way, I just will say, I had several guest stars come in to do Q&A, which I'm so grateful to them. Tony Award-winning Broadway actress Marissa Jarrett Winokur came in. Sabrina Carpenter came in, did a whole Q&A. You know, kids almost passed out when she walked in.
I bet.
And John Legend, the great John Legend, came in and gave some really great advice. So there's also that's a part of the course as well.
Singing can be fun.
Yeah, it should be fun.
I do think it's fun.
It should be
I
fun.
know.
And cathartic.
We
Very
both
cathartic.
enjoy singing. However,
Yeah.
we recognize that you might
Well, it
put your hand around our
doesn't-
shoulder and just say, you know what?
You don't have a future in this.
Yeah, this is just stay in the
It
shower is
doesn't
the place
mean-
for you.
Yeah, it doesn't mean you have to have aspirations of making a hit record, but you could still enjoy singing with friends, singing at a party, singing karaoke, all of that. There's a lot of outlets.
Yeah, I would love to belt out some karaoke. I love karaoke.
Yeah,
but I lip sync. I usually sing with someone so I could lip sync. And
And there's a lot of local theaters too that do productions, and some of them are quite good.
Do you have a karaoke song? What's your karaoke go-to?
I don't. Okay. You would ask me if I can watch people I haven't taught and enjoy it. Yes, when they're good. I do not enjoy karaoke. I have to be honest. I don't. It's too hard for me watching people who really aren't good singers sing, and I'm like, oh my God, they're so out of tune. Oh my God, they don't know the first thing. Oh my God, they're massacred. Oh, this song. And a lot of times they're singing songs of writers that I know because a lot of the people I work with are songwriters, and some of my best friends like Diane Warren, Desmond Child, Alan Rich, they're all songwriters. Savan Koteche, Max Martin, all of these people, Toby Gad, there's a million of them. And they'll be singing their song, and all I'm thinking is, oh my God, they're killing this song. Oh my God. Not killing in a good way, by the way.
I'm right. I know what
Yeah, they're literally killing this song. And so I don't enjoy karaoke nights.
Right.
Now, I will say there was one night that Ariana Grande, kind of with her friend Liz Gilly, who's a terrific actress, they started together in that TV show, Victorious. Liz was just on Broadway with Graham Phillips doing Little Shop of Horrors. At Liz's house, they had a live karaoke. So they had someone playing the piano, and then these people were talented people. I mean, Liz and Graham and Ariana and all the other people got up. These were people who really should be doing it. It was amazing. It was just to hear them sing those songs. And, there's not a Broadway song that Ariana can't get up and do a great job.
And she's a
sing
great
anything.
impersonator of different artists. Like she
is hilarious.
Unbelievable.
She's hilarious.
Unbelievable.
But talented.
Yeah.
But she captures not just their voice,
right,
but
the
their
acid-
personality,
yeah, for sure.
their singing voice, like when she does Celine Dion. Come on, Jimmy. Like she'll do all of that stuff, and it's great. It's amazing.
All right. Thank you so much again. Was it maestro.com?
It's BBC, like letter BBC Maestro, bbcmaestro.com.
Perfect.
Yeah, they won't be sorry. It's really good. I wouldn't promote it if I wasn't really proud of it and thought it was really helpful to people, because I think it is, And like I said, I felt like, ooh, I'm doing a really good service here and leaving something behind, because I won't be teaching forever,
All these young artists you're leaving behind.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Thank you. It was wonderful. Really nice to meet you.
You guys are great. I love your podcast in general.
Oh, appreciate it.
It's really fun seeing you. It's sort of like a tennis match back and forth. And you're so polite with each other. You don't step on each other's toes. And this is great. What a nice experience.
Thank you.
It was really nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Yeah.
It is a duet.
It's a speaking duet.
Yeah, see, there you go. See, you're more musical than you think. You already got to start.
Well, we recognize it. We just recognize our limits. That's
Right.
what.
8
Well, and
years, so we're good.
That's nice, too, because there's nothing harder than the delusional
I gotcha.
person who doesn't get it.
All right. Well, thank you again.
My pleasure.
Thank you.
This was great.
Yeah,
Thank
it
you
was
for
really-
having me.
All right. So nice to have someone in the studio. So nice to have you in the studio. It was a nice talk.
So nice to be here with Eric. I loved talking to him. I feel like there was so much more we could have learned about vocal coaching, about singing, but also his stories, all the people with whom he's worked over the years.
Right. Yeah. We just got a small tidbit. We might have to do a feature on each of his artists and break it down. I don't know. We'll figure out some way to get him back into the studio.
Yeah, this was just a smattering.
A good smattering. Yeah. So the movie is out now. It's Deliver Me From Nowhere. And you can also learn all about the vocal coaching stylings of how to sing like someone, like yourself.
How to sing, period.
How to sing, period. Correct. I really enjoyed our talk, and I enjoy our social media. I'm sure you're going to deliver this into small little tidbits. Where might they find things?
I will deliver this to our social media at WDDIM Podcast and on YouTube. Hopefully we can get some clips up there with Eric. He's a lovely looking man on our YouTube channel at What Difference Does It Make podcast.
All right. Well, I've got a movie to go see, so I'm going to wrap this up right now. I should also remind you our website, WDDIMpodcast.com, which stands for What Difference Does It Make podcast.com. Sign up for our newsletter. If this is your first time, subscribe. That can't hurt. It doesn't. You push a button. You're done. And then it comes your way whenever you want it. So we always are thankful for those subscribers. Please and thank you.
Yes, if this is your first time joining us, thank you. And even if it is not your first time joining us, even if you have been with us from the beginning, thank you.
We have new episodes every Friday, so we're going to wrap this up right now. And until then, this is Dave.
This is Holly.
Check you later.
Over and out.